Okay, so today we're looking at case study 4, which is talking about inclusion. The first question that was asked was, how might the principal approach this in future meetings with her teacher? Is it necessary to choose one approach over the other?
So I don't know, maybe this is a later question, but I think we could have been more proactive in the beginning. Like if we had a system in place for small groups and small group expectations, like I meet with my lower babies maybe 3 times a week, and I meet with my high babies maybe 1 to 2 times a week, just so we already have these norms in place that everyone knows and understands and adheres to.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said. I just typed on there that she needs to educate all staff on how to successfully implement inclusion in the classroom. And the teachers are responsible for teaching both special ed and regular ed students.
Yeah, I've jotted down a couple of just bullet points when it's talking about how she might approach it. Just maybe set up something like a planning session with the teachers, acknowledging like both sides of the issue and trying to be objective. So just, saying like pros and cons of, their different approaches. And I think this goes with some of the other questions too, but I was saying it doesn't sound like they're actually collaborating very much. So, encourage that collaboration between the teachers and the specialists, and maybe a periodic review of like their best practices and strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with what both of y'all said. It's gonna take both. It's gonna take both collaboration and also being prepared. Like if you're prepared and you have the collaboration, then you should be good. And these issues, you're still gonna have a couple hiccups, but you're not gonna have major issues.
Do you think it was an issue of not being prepared? I mean, I think it's just an issue maybe of her, how she likes to teach per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Teaching style.
Yeah. Versus, I mean, she might be one of, you have a lot of teachers that they just like to do it their way. You know what I mean? And they said she was, a little bit older, and she's been teaching for a while, so she might be kind of set in her ways, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But she was also having the higher students work with the lower students.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of when you're putting inclusion into a classroom. We encourage that because they will actually gain more from their peers than they will sometimes from us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of times as EC teachers, we say include them in everything, even if it's too hard for them to do. At least they'll be able to see it and hear it, and then we'll move back a step with them.
All right, get that exposure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jamal, did you get everything for that slide?
Yeah, I'm actually writing it down because I have to sign up for an account apparently with Google. So I'm just going to write it down and then copy it, make it a PowerPoint, and do it that way.
Oh, it should have come through your Google.
You should just type in your email.
Like it's asking me to sign up to edit, or I'm sorry, what happened?
That's weird.
You probably have to be signed in with your Gardner Web account somewhere on the computer.
Yeah, I am. I'm signed in now. Like I just got it from the email from where Jessica sent it, and now it's asking me to sign in. It's saying sign up to edit. I go sign up to edit, and it's telling me create a Google account. So
Jessica, hit share real quick.
Share again.
Hit share. Okay. And then make sure that you go to the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and change that to change to anyone with the link.
Okay.
And it should work that
It said
time.
that. It says anyone with the link. Yeah.
And change it
Change
as a
editor.
viewer to editor. Yeah.
In there. See if that'll work.
Okay. And let me pull it up again. It's still telling me sign up.
Yeah, because I can see you popping in. It
Mhm.
calls you anonymous, and then you pop out of it. I don't know. If you can't get it and you want to send me the notes, I'll type it in.
What do you want me to type it in? I've got access.
Yeah, just so we can go ahead and have it done.
Let's go back to this slide.
So Edie, what I have here too, I had where you put like collaboration periodically.
Okay.
And then
Can I call them specialists, or is that?
Yeah.
And then what
And-
else?
and then I have where we just said teaching style versus like her being set in the way. So I don't know what we'd call it. I mean, it's still her teaching style, right?
Yeah.
So versus an actual problem is her teaching style.
Okay.
And then the last thing was, which I don't know if this goes here, but we talked about having the kids getting exposure. Isn't it like it's
Sorry,
good
guys.
for them to have exposure to stuff?
Let's see here. Important for kids to be exposed or having
Great
exposure
content.
to grade level content.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or should we say to higher rigor, use that educational word?
You don't want to say higher rigor because they're EC students. So that would mean you're pushing them, I think, higher than the regular.
Their
Just-
level of it should be at they're
Meet them
supposed
at
to be
grade level.
exposed to the level that they are on.
right, grade level content.
All right. All right. Let's see. We good with that? Okay. All right. Anything else on that one?
I think that one's good.
All right.
And then the next slide just says, what is the path that Eugene should take? And that was the principal.
Jessica, like how you said, I think her first plan of action should just be educating her staff and getting them all on one accord.
Yeah.
And I know, especially from experience, anytime you deal with EC, you want to make sure that you're dealing with the law, like you're going according to law and policy. So that way
Mhm.
she's not susceptible to lawsuits.
Right. So following IEPs and 504s, make sure those things are being followed. Yeah, that's good.
And speak to like I know at my district we have a district EC specialist that, like, if we have a question about anything or if the resource teachers have questions, we talk to them to make sure that, you know, they're kind of like the top, you know, so just to make sure that you're covered.
Yeah, we have 2 district EC leaders and then the EC director, which is under the superintendent.
And also communicate with a parent too. Like, a lot of times parents get upset because they're not involved in what's happening with their child, especially EC parents, because they want their child want the child's best interest at heart, and as long as you're communicating that, they're easier to work with.
Well, and I can even tell you, me personally, I work with EC preschool all day, every day, and my husband did not understand why there was EC kids in the preschool classroom or any other classroom. They should have their own classroom. So he got a really long education from me that he probably didn't want, and it was probably a lot longer. So he hasn't asked that question again. But they just don't understand. They don't understand why EC and Reg Ed are integrated.
Right, and a lot of parents want to separate it when they don't know
Mhm.
that their child is benefiting from being in that class and having that exposure. Mhm. I don't know. Just
Also, you look at PLCs. With the PLCs, if the teachers were meeting in a PLC, they will all be communicating with each other and be on that same page. So PLC is a good way for the teachers to get together and discuss what they're doing
Yeah.
across curriculum.
yeah,
And Linnell, I'm gonna chime in and add something too. And with those PLCs, have documentation of what was said and that type of thing too. Documentation.
Yeah.
That's very important.
do you all use MTSS?
Yes, we do.
We
I
do
think
too.
that's something good to talk about. Making sure that all the teachers are educated with the MTSS system and how that process and how all kids should be afforded that due process if
Yeah.
need.
Because a lot of our teachers will have some behavior kids as well, and then they'll be like, well, they need a behavior plan, or they want us to do a behavior IEP, and we're like, so what kind of documentation do you have? What kind have you collected? I don't have anything. Then we can't do anything.
Right.
I will say it's interesting, talking about like the MTSS process. Like there are a lot of teachers that just are not as well versed on the process. So I think that what Linnell was saying about have your PLCs collaborate, and part of that is just I think probably reiterating what that process is and how that works, so that the teachers understand that and understand what's needed.
Yeah.
So would you say kind of like almost like a PD for teachers, so they're aware of it? That's what you like. That I can't think of another word for it, but
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, workshop training.
yeah, training. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, just familiarization with the entire process, because sometimes you hear it and it's kind of said in passing, like, oh yeah, we got to do this, but sometimes the average teacher may not understand exactly what that whole process looks like. So
So the next question was, is one point of view more correct than the other, and why? So I just noted on there that all children with disabilities are guaranteed a FAPE under IDEA, Individual Education Act, and it guarantees that children with disabilities have equal access to education. So in my opinion, yes, one point of view is more correct than the other.
I agree, and I agree because of that last bullet that's there. And especially now with everything going on, like I don't know if you guys are experiencing it, but like I teach 6th grade, and so my kids are coming from 5th grade, which they're coming from the elementary school to middle school, and with everything that happened last year, they weren't taught some standards, and so you can't just teach the test, because if you just teach the test, then you're gonna there's gonna be a big gap.
Yep.
And your score is gonna be lower anyway, because things build off of each other. And so you need to work with those kids and make sure that they're learning and growing as a process. Like, yes, data matters, but learning matters more, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's why I say that it does matter. I mean, we live in a time where now you just hear test scores, data. And there's some things that's more important than data. But that's my personal opinion. So that's why I say that.
I mean, yeah, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board about how we look at everything. I think even, how we separate them into grade levels needs to be reevaluated and maybe more standard based than grade level based. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if, because of, like what I just said, because of COVID, I'm wondering if, for one, I'm wondering if we're even going to have testing this year. And then two, will they kind of like shave off some of the standards or objectives we're supposed to teach due to knowing how we got out early and certain things happen to
Well,
where
from my
Well, we're
understanding,
still-
we are having EOGs at the end of the year, and they're going to be pretty standard.
Yeah, we've already given benchmarks.
yeah, we
like
have
normal.
too. But I mean, that's one of the things that I like most people are wondering, like how much are they expecting us to make up based off of last year with kids being out for 3 months early.
Right.
So that gap.
Well, they definitely expect the children to be as close to grade level as possible. Like someone just said, they're giving out the EOGs in middle school, they're in elementary, third grade on up. Also, we just had a meeting where we're giving out the EOCs. We're not giving North Carolina final exams, but we're giving the EOCs. I was an EC teacher for 15 years, and how I was taught was every new standard and every new concept, you teach it on grade level. And when they're pulled, the remediation is done to bring them up to where they're behind at. So you teach new concepts on grade level, but where they fall behind at, that's where you go back and remediate. So it's like you're teaching division, but you're trying to get them to learn how to multiply. And that's hard to do, you guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on that slide you want to add? Okay. The
You know,
next.
I don't know, real quick, I don't know where it's going to fall in here. And it might be on the fifth question, but one of the things I think is just them learning how to properly maybe co-teach. Because what happens is, when you have your quote unquote regular education teacher, and I'm thinking from a middle school perspective too. So they're, focused on whatever their content area is, social studies, science, math, language, whatever it is. And then when you have your EC teachers come in and co-teach, EC teachers I found are really good with multiple strategies and different ways to try to engage the students and break things down a little bit. So the teachers really have to, I think the principal should really encourage that, maybe more of that co-teaching model if that fits into how they do their schedule. And then of course they can collaborate again. You have one that may be more with content, but another one with, good strategies that really help kids access the curriculum.
Yeah, that's how our
Yeah.
teachers do. They integrate into the class. Our EC teachers integrate into the classroom.
Mhm.
And once they realize if a child is really struggling, then they'll pull them out for like the last 30 minutes of that class or whatever and just work with them individually. So they're integrated in and then some pull out.
And I think
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. And that's the inclusion model, right?
right. That might go on a different slide. So
And it actually benefits all learners when you can really effectively co-teach. When I was in middle school last year, me and my EC teacher, we had no problem like bouncing the class back and forth between us because I was the content person, but she had, like you said, all those strategies. So yeah, the principal should push that type of collaboration. That's a good idea.
As far as here, where it's talking about the family, I feel like by you just talking to the parent, that's collaboration. Like it doesn't always have to be as active, as the parent coming in and volunteering, but have a sit down with the parent, see like what does a child like, to where maybe you can have those type of activities into your classroom. Like if you know the kid likes to play video games, maybe you can have something to where like there's a video game to where the kid plays the video game, well, plays a game similar to it. Like I know I teach social studies, and like I know kids are big in like playing games, and so like I use a lot of iCivics because they have pretty good games, and it's amazing how something simpler like for example, when I taught 8th grade, whenever it got around election time, I'd play Win the White House, and my EC kids would actually do better than my regular ed kids because it's something they were into, and they didn't see it as learning, they saw it as playing a game, and they'd actually learn, and they learned about how you need 270 and so and so.
Yeah, and the reason that I have families volunteer in the classroom, I was thinking more along the lines of the reg ed population, students, parents, to see how their kids are still learning, but also helping other students. They could see that flow. Sometimes parents need that visual.
And it also seems like, to speak to what you just said, Jessica, they need to bring those families in the classroom. They need to create some type of community, because it seems like one parent feels like their child is getting more attention than the other. But if I see my child's classroom as a community and we're all here to learn, then, naturally you'll be more open to collaboration and supporting the teacher with whatever it is she's trying to do.
As an expert in the area of learning and evaluation, is it Ismail? Is that how you'd say it?
Ishmael.
Ishmael, the technical coordinator, do to integrate and create some harmony out of the differences in opinions among the teachers?
This is where I was saying that like Ishmael might, again, because they're knowledgeable of strategies and best practices, so might have some type of professional development geared towards strategies and best practices, and or professional development geared towards that co-teaching model as well.
I think that's a good
I
answer.
agree with you there.
Let's see. That didn't work out.
I have to pull it. There you go. I think that's really all that needs to go there, is that that integration and co-teaching models, so they can see it and understand the strategies to use within the classroom.
I was also thinking too, and I don't know if this, not necessarily in his expertise, but because he's the the technical coordinator, you might need to also be kind of a neutral party between the teachers and the regular ed and EC department. So
Yeah, I agree.
be that bridge.
Yeah.
think they need more of an EC specialist than a technical specialist and everything in this situation. Someone who is actually trained in helping children with deficits and who have problems and understand accommodation laws and all those different things that children need that are behind. But I think they really need an EC specialist in this situation with children that are performing below grade level.
So like a lead EC teacher or lead EC specialist. Is that okay? Or
In North Carolina, we have program.
you broke up on me there a little bit.
Yeah, I think we lost him altogether.
Uh-oh.
Are you there, Linnell? We'll go down to the bottom, and if his volume or his mic comes back, then we'll go back to that one because we have about
Alright.
7 minutes. What actions might Sylvia take with the families of the children in question in order to learn and share the achievements and experiences they have observed among the children? Sylvia was the teacher they were questioning about having the higher students work with the lower students, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Making sure I was.
Isn't there, which it may change from district to district, but I know like at my school, every so often the parents have to go in and talk with the core teacher and the EC teacher. And then that's where you share the goals and how they're achieving in class, what you're doing, that type of thing. And review.
Student progress. Is that?
Mm-hmm. And then also during you may call them midterm reports or progress reports, those types of things too.
I think what also may be valuable is a student-led conference so that the child can actually advocate and speak on what they're learning in class.
Okay. So student-led conferences.
Maybe they have their portfolio where they can, showcase what they've learned and,
Also, we can or give the parents a visual or something that shows how peer tutors work and how they've shown success.
You said peer, did you say tutoring or peer learning? Jessica, you there?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
How peer tutors work.
Hey guys, I'm actually in my car, and there's some dead zones that I'm about to ride through, so you may lose me, but I'm gonna stay on as long as I can. All right.
Okay.
All right.
We can hear you really good now. Did you want to add something to what you were saying earlier?
Nope.
And where you
guys, when do we present this?
I would also put beside of that.
We don't share. We don't present this one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're done with presentations, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
on where it says peer tutors work, I would also add to show them how like visuals of successful implementation into the classroom.
Jessica, I feel like your mic went low to me. I don't know if it did with anyone else.
Yeah. So, the successes of peer tutoring.
Yes. No, I have no idea. I will add the pages into the case study into the front of it, and then I'll make sure that you get it. Jamal, if you can't, let me know if it won't let you send it to the teacher.
Say that one more time, Jessica.
If it won't let you send it to the teacher, let me know.
Okay.
All right, guys, we'll see you shortly at 7.
Okay.
All
All
right. Thanks.
All right. See you
Bye.
guys.
right, guys. See you in a second.